All right, today we're going to unpack a financial paradox that I think so many of us know all too well. Why is it that our most brilliant, most responsible financial plans just seem to, poof, vanish the second we actually get the money to make them happen? It's such a frustrating feeling. So let's get into what's really going on here.
No, seriously. Think about it for a second. Is there a version of you who is this absolute financial genius, planning everything out perfectly for the future, and then there's this other version who gets paid and just sees a giant green light to spend? If that sounds familiar, well, you are definitely not alone.
This quote right here, this is pretty much why we're doing this explainer. It captures the whole thing perfectly. You've got that cold, clear-headed planning when there's no money around. Then boom, the cash hits your account, the party and spending starts, and then that wave of regret just washes over you. It's this maddening pattern, but trust me, it's one you can absolutely understand and, more importantly, break.
So that brings us to our first section, which we're calling the money roller coaster. Because honestly, that's exactly what it feels like, right? You get that slow, thrilling climb of having a brilliant financial plan, and then that sudden stomach-lurching drop into spending the second the ride really gets going.
Now, here's something that is so important to get right away. This is not a character flaw. This is a very human psychological pattern. There's this idea in behavioral science called the hot-cold empathy gap. And basically, it means that when we're in a cold, rational state, like when we're broke, we are terrible at predicting how we're going to act in a hot, emotional state, like the excitement of getting paid. And this is the loop it creates, this cycle of regret. When you have no money, the ideas are crystal clear. Save more, pay off that credit card, finally start investing. Then you get paid, and it's like all those great ideas just get foggy. The desire for that immediate reward takes over. And before you know it, the money's gone, and you're right back where you started, filled with regret. And those same really good ideas.
Which brings us to the big question, right? Why does it feel like we're so much smarter when we have no money? Well, the answer isn't that you're actually smarter or dumber. It's all about the situation you're in. A state of scarcity literally changes your brain's operating system. It shifts your priorities and what you focus on. So let's take a look at what's actually happening inside your head. And that leads us to the absolute core idea of this whole thing. You basically have two different minds running the show, but they're sharing one wallet. These are your two financial personalities, and understanding how and when they switch places is the key to everything. So it's time to meet them.
Okay, first up, you've got the planner. This is you when money is tight. Your brain kicks into this super focused, strategic mode. You're forced to get creative, you have to prioritize what you actually need versus what you want, and you're always thinking about the future. In this mode, you are a brilliant chief financial officer for your own life. And then payday hits, and the spender shows up. The pressure's off, and your brain flips from survive mode to reward mode. It's all about that immediate gratification. It wants to celebrate your hard work. The thing is, this mindset isn't bad or evil. It just wants you to enjoy the moment. But its timeline is today, not next year.
I mean, just look at this. When you put them side by side, it's so clear, isn't it? On one side, you've got the long-term strategist, the one who makes all the good plans. And on the other, you've got the short-term celebrator, the one who's way more interested in the expensive things. They are both you. They're just operating under completely different mental conditions.
And this is so important. The goal is not to try and get rid of the spender. That's impossible, and frankly, it would be a pretty joyless life. The real challenge, the real goal, is to build a bridge between them. It's about getting the planner to leave a really good, clear set of instructions for the spender. Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we build that bridge? Well, that brings us to section 3, breaking the cycle. This is where we get into the practical, actionable stuff you can do to finally make those SMART plans stick. The whole strategy is actually super simple, but it is so powerful. Your wise, future-focused planner self has to set up the system before the spender self even shows up for their shift. You've got to create a structure that basically runs on autopilot, making your best decisions the easiest ones to follow. So here are 3 steps you can take to basically outsmart yourself. 1. Formalize your plan. Get those brilliant ideas out of your head and onto paper or into an app. Be specific. 2. Pre-commit your money. Give every single dollar a job before it even arrives. And listen, this includes creating a budget for the spender. Fun money is a must. And 3, this is the magic bullet. Automate the action.
Set up those transfers to savings or to pay down debt for the very day your paycheck lands, before you even have a chance to touch it.
Look, at the end of the day, this is all about trusting yourself, but not just any version of yourself. It's about trusting the version of you that has the clearest long-term vision and putting them in the driver's seat. Let them set the GPS before the celebratory, easily distracted version of you grabs the wheel.
And that brings us to our last section, and it might be the most important one of all. It's about starting a totally new relationship with your money. Let's talk about your very first smart move. And I really want to be crystal clear about this. This is not about restricting yourself or punishing yourself or sucking all the fun out of life. It is the exact opposite. It's about being intentional. It's about taking your hard-earned money and finally using it to build the life that, honestly, both versions of you really want deep down. A life with future security and present enjoyment.
Okay, so if you only take away a few things from our chat today, let it be these. First, this whole cycle is a normal psychological pattern. It's not a personal failure. Second, you have two financial mindsets, the planner and the spender. Third, the absolute key is to let the planner act on those smart plans before your mindset shifts. And finally, a simple automated system is your best friend in this whole process.
So I'm going to leave you with a challenge, a question. Don't wait until you're broke again to be smart. Right now, in this moment of clarity, what is one small, smart decision your planner self can make for your spender self? Could you automate a tiny transfer to savings? Could you just write down one specific goal? Do one thing right now that your future self is going to be so grateful for.